Welcome to Hanif Bismi Show. Cancer is a scary word. Breast cancer shatters many lives. It is a concern for entire family. In Australia, as part of international community, the month of October is dedicated to the cancer awareness. In 2020, the estimated new cases of breast cancer diagnosed female 19,807 and for male 167. In 2020, the estimated death from breast cancer, female 2,997 and male 33. The 5-year survival rate is 91%, according to 2018. On average, 53 people will be diagnosed with breast cancer every day in Australia. The number of women and men being diagnosed with breast cancer in Australia is increasing. However, the number of deaths from breast cancer is decreasing. Australia has one of the best breast cancer survival rates in the world. Today, we have 3 wonderful warriors who have successfully won the battle of breast cancer. On behalf of Hanif Bismi Show and 5 News, we welcome the wonderful ladies Leanne,
Hello.
Diana, and Cheryl. They are friends. They're diagnosed with the same type of breast cancer, and they were working with one of the Australian federal agencies. So once again, thank you for coming to Hanif Bismi Show. And we welcome once again on behalf of my viewers. And I request to introduce yourself, Leanne, first.
Hi, my name is Leanne. Thank you, first of all, Hanif, for inviting us along to your show to talk about this very important subject. My name's Leanne. I'm as you said, I work for a federal agency. I'm a mum of 2 beautiful children, Hayley and Tom. I'm also a grandmother and another one on the way, 3rd baby on the way, and I enjoy spending time outside in nature, love reading, bit of an amateur photographer, not very good, but I think I am.
So please, Diana, please introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay, my name is Diana and I am married with 2 adult children and 1 granddaughter and another grandchild on the way. I enjoy photography, travelling with our caravan, and that's about it. Cooking, I do like to cook.
Oh, that's great. Please, Cheryl.
Hi, I'm Cheryl. Thanks, Hanif, for having us today. I'm a mum of 2, grandmother of 2 as well. I do enjoy walking, love walking and keeping active. I love cooking, gardening. That's about it. And I do work for the federal government. So
That's great to know 3 of you, and it's always a pleasure. And it's very, as you said, it's a very important subject, and many viewers having diagnosed or maybe fighting the cancer, and it will be inspiration for you. So what I did is I categorized the questions. So questions are for 3 of you, same questions. So you can answer according to your experience and your life experience. So first category is diagnosis. So my first question, 3 of you can answer one by one. When were you diagnosed? What was your reaction? How did your family react? How did you cope with it? Please.
Okay, so I was diagnosed in August 2014. For me, it was a surprise. I had been getting regular checks for about 15 years because I had a history of benign breast lumps. So, and I'd had some biopsies over the time and they were all negative. So for me, it was just another check, I guess. So, it was a bit of shock when I found out. My family, my daughter was in Brisbane. I had to travel up. I travelled up to tell her face to face. She was in shock initially, but she's a pretty strong girl, and she said, you'll beat this, Mum, you've got it, and I have, which is really good. My son told him, he came to the party really well as well. He was, there for me, helped out with going to appointments, and I also visited my parents face to face, my sisters, and told them. That was the hardest part, telling my family. Much harder than being diagnosed for me. It was telling my family.
Well, thank you very much. So first of all, family has to accept the reality. That's then only the second step. So what about yourself?
I was diagnosed in October 2016, and my husband was with me at the time, so he told everybody, really. He took that over for me. So it was easier for me than for you, because I didn't have to tell people. Okay. But it was initially a very big shock, yes. So my first reaction when it was just my husband and I alone was to actually break down. And I just had that breakdown for 5 minutes in the car, and then got on with it, really. From there, it all happened very quickly. So within 10 days, I think I had the lump removed, and it just went from there. So, yeah, the family took it pretty well. My daughter is probably always still my little girl, and she took it a bit hard at first. My son is much like his father. They're very solid, dependable, and they both took it fairly well, and they were very supportive. So was my daughter. But, they didn't fall apart like she probably did. So, they coped well.
Oh, thank you very much. What about you, Cheryl?
My diagnosis was in April 2017.
Okay.
In relation to how I took it, it took a little while for me to process it. So I took a week of having that information by myself before I shared it with my family, because I wanted to think about how I would share that with my family. The only person I did consult was Leanne, because we've all been friends for a lot of years. So because I had to make some decisions about who would perform the procedure and what I would do, I consulted somebody that I already knew, so I consulted Leanne. When I did tell them, I'd already accepted it. So I was quite good. I downplayed it, and that meant that they were able to come to grips with it a lot easier, because I wasn't in a mess. So that was the way I chose to do it. It was a choice that I made to do it that way.
So 3 of your stories similar. That means you got a strong family support. And of course, first everybody is scared. As I started with the word cancer itself, it's a bit scary. So so you had a big support from the family, like your husband and son, and you, and because you already got friends who are going through, so it's easier for you.
It helped me because I was the last one to be diagnosed. It helped me a lot that these 2 ladies were there supporting me the whole time.
That's great to know.
Yeah.
And my second question is about treatment. So because many people wanted to know the treatment, and it's a reality that first of all, it's you can't hide certain things, illness. You have to acknowledge that's you and accept it, and then only they fight against that illness, whatever illness is. In the case breast cancer, which is too scary, so realize and face the reality and drive the support from the family, and these wonderful 3 ladies got that. And my next question is about treatment. What kind of breast cancer did you have? What was the treatment? What was the most difficult and challenging part of your recovery process? What was the most influential to help you heal? So please, Leanne, can you start first?
So my cancer was what they call triple negative breast cancer. That means that there aren't any hormone receptors on the cancer, so it's not driven, I guess, by estrogen or progesterone or a different type of hormones that you can have. So the treatment that I had, the treatment that was actually recommended was different to the treatment that I had. It was recommended that I have a lumpectomy initially, and then chemotherapy, and then radiotherapy. I actually chose to have a double mastectomy.
Okay.
And the reason I chose to do that was because I mentioned earlier that I'd had multiple breast lumps, which had been biopsied over the years. And for me, because there was 2 lumps that were malignant, and there were other lumps that hadn't been biopsied, I couldn't reconcile in my head what if these other ones that hadn't been biopsied. So the medical profession didn't take that lightly. I needed to meet with a psychologist, genetic counsellors, the surgeon multiple times, and to talk to them and to, I guess, use my negotiating skills to sell that to them. But at the end, they were very supportive. So I had a double mastectomy, and then I had 6 rounds of chemotherapy over 5 months. And that was my treatment, really. How did I cope? Surgery, I cope with really well. The chemotherapy I found very, very challenging. I found it, I don't like drugs or medication, so for me, having chemo, I found that very, very hard to cope with. But, you do what you need to do, and got through it, okay. And what was the third question? Sorry, Hanif, the last...
what was the most influential to help you heal?
Oh, absolutely, definitely, support, family, friends, BCI at Westmead, brilliant, everybody, support groups, talking to people, strangers on the street who came up and said, look, I've been there, look at me now, I'm healthy, I'm well, books I read, just the support of other people, really, absolutely.
Thank you very much. Could you please, your experience with treatment, Diana?
Yeah, sure. I also had triple negative breast cancer, and I had a lumpectomy, and then, which was just day surgery, and it was fine. And then after that, I had the same kind of chemo that Leanne had. So it was 6 treatments over 4.5 or 5 months. That was the most challenging part for me as well. The chemo, and Leanne said to me before I had the chemo that it's not as hard as you expect it to be, but it's no walk in the park. And that is the case. So I was never physically ill. They give you so much medication to stop you from being sick, but the fatigue, the taste, and other side effects, they're all hard to deal with, but manageable. It's all manageable, I think, particularly if you have enough medication to stop you from being ill. After that, I had 19 rounds of radiotherapy, which was 5 days a week, not weekends. I had very little side effects from radiotherapy, dry skin, that was pretty much it. And the most influential was, again, support. Look good, feel better, I found was fantastic. Support from, I had neighbours cooking my husband and son and I meals. I had family, of course. My daughter and my husband came to every chemo session that I had and did the work from home. My son organised a breakfast on my last chemo, and he's an electrician, so it's not like he could just come to every chemo session. So he came the last time, my last treatment. Also, even down to the hairdresser offering to come home to do the big shave. She said, if you don't want to do it in front of everybody, that's fine. I had an ex-neighbour, who also a friend, who came round to give me, I had a needle in the stomach after every chemo the next day to do with immunity, and she came round every 3 weeks the day after my chemo and jabbed me. So there was a lot of support.
Lots of support.
Lots of support, yeah. and that was how I coped.
Thank you very much, Diana.
Yeah.
Please let us know your experience, Cheryl.
So, like the other two ladies, I've also had triple negative breast cancer. Mine was a very small tumour, so it was only 3 millimetres, about the size of a grain of rice. So I had a lumpectomy, and then the recommendation was that I didn't require chemotherapy because the concern was that the side effects from the chemotherapy would outweigh any benefit that I actually received from it, given the size of the tumour. So I didn't go through chemotherapy, but I did have the radiotherapy. It was very manageable, extremely manageable. You do it every day for I think about
19?
I think it was about 4 weeks. Yeah, 4 weeks that you go through the radiotherapy. You do get some side effects from that, and for me, it's meant that the side that it's on is always tender, very, very tender. Not everyone gets that. It's just a few people that may have that side effect at the end of the day. But again, not a problem at all. In relation to how did I cope with, how do I recover and cope, and really it's just been, again, the support from these ladies especially, and from everyone. The fact that everyone cares and everyone's there to support you and checking in to see how you are, and also drawing from your own whatever you need to do to cope with it as well. So for me, I love walking. That distracts me. And it takes my mind away from whatever my problems are. So I love keeping busy and walking and that type of thing. So I do what I need to do personally, as well as always accepting whatever support I can take, really.
That's great. That means support and self-confidence.
Correct.
And when others know that, because you are lucky that three of your friends, and you helped each other, you supported each other, inspired each other.
Yes.
And strong family background, family support, and like in your cases, neighbors, even hairdresser, which is appreciated. And so thank you very much. And my next question is recovery and moving forward. So how long did you take to recover? What was your source of strength that helped you to fight back? How did the family and community support you? We already mentioned, but you can again highlight it. What is your message to the audience, and in particularly to the cancer patients? So please, Leanne, could you?
Support. So what actually helped me recover.
And how long did it take?
Yeah, I guess with my foggy brain, some people might say I haven't recovered. No, but really, I guess it took a good couple of years, I think, for me, to really feel like you're back to maybe a new normal. I don't think it's the same normal, but it did take some time to get. It's a new normal. It's not the same, but it was. Just what I drew my strength from, I guess. I like to think that I have courage, and I guess my strength was, drawing on that courage, because you don't have a choice in it, you're in it. It's something. You're in it. You can't walk away from it.
Exactly.
So I guess it just drawing on wherever you get that courage from, to put to just continue on doing what you need to do, and with family support and drawing on. I went to Petria King down in Bundanoon. That's a retreat. I did Qigong, I did Tai Chi, I cut sugar out of my diet. I took control, I guess. So what I drew on knowledge, I guess, research, to be able to look at things that could support me take control back, because in cancer you sort of tend to lose that control. So that allowed me to continue moving forward. As far as the message to the audience, I guess it's a very personal thing that you go through. What I say, completely different for somebody else, and there's no right or wrong what one person chooses to do or doesn't choose to do. It's whatever's right, for you. And I guess that's the message. It's about, doing what's right for you, asking questions. If someone tells you need to do a certain thing, if that's not right, challenge it, ask for a second opinion. Knowledge is power, fear into power, all of that type of thing. I think the more you know, the more involved, I guess, in your own healing.
More knowledge, you empower you.
For me, it empowered me
Yeah.
because, it took that control away, and I needed to get that back. So the more knowledge you have, I felt very empowered, and I could be, I guess, an active participant in my treatment and my recovery and my healing. So I guess, that's my message. Just, take as much as you want and throw away the rest. And I guess don't believe everything you read. Particularly statistics, ignore them. Not good. Don't go there. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Could you please share, Diana?
Yeah. Recovery, I felt that within a month after chemo had finished that I was back to normal. That was just my perception. Back to normal, minus hair and eyelashes and things like
New normal.
a new normal. But again, it was support, even support down to when I went to work and told them I had cancer. All they said was, "What do you need?" Everybody. These girls messaged me through after every chemo to check that I was okay. Leanne put me on to Gilmore Girls, which was a really good chemo show. Yeah. There was so much support. Mm-hmm. And again, I guess I'd have to go back to, you just have to get on with it and look after yourself as best you can. So I ended up, I tried to work through chemo, but the days that I could go in were never the same, so it was a bit erratic, and in the end I said I'm just going to not go to work, which turned out to be the best thing I could do because I was able to stay at home and feed myself properly with things that I could eat that were healthy, and I was able to rest when I could. They suggest when you're having chemo, light exercise is a good thing, so I would go for my walks every morning. Started with ambling around the block to, getting better and better by the end of each 3 weeks. So, support again. Community, family, friends everywhere. Friends work, friends home, friends from long ago. Friends all over the place. It was, very support. And family, of course.
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you.
Please, Cheryl, could you please...
So for the recovery for me, it was really the procedure itself that I had to recover from, although there was some recovery from the radiotherapy. I went back to work after the radiotherapy. Like, I did work through radiotherapy initially, but then I became too tired just towards the end because I did have to travel to get to work. Okay. So I didn't work for the last couple of weeks. But after that, about a week after the radiotherapy ceased, I was back at work. For me, going to work is its own therapy because I love keeping busy and I love the work that I do. So going to work was fantastic to get some normality back in my life. And I found to bring normality back to my life helps with my personal resilience, to be able to not focus on what I can't change and just focus on what I can change and the changes that I was going to make to my life moving forward, just to make me feel healthier and more in control of what I was going to do with the rest of my life, because it is a little bit of a wake-up call when you go through that process. And you do think about, okay, well, what do I want the rest of my life to look like? And that was great to start thinking about that in a conscious way. It gave me the opportunity to think about that in a conscious way, which I appreciated. So.
Well, that's great. Great to know all of your stories. And one more question to three of you. If you came to know someone got breast cancer diagnosed, what will be your response to that person?
Well, people have come to me.
Yes, we did.
So you've had the opportunity to respond to that.
You got more experience that time.
Unfortunately. Well, when Diana told me she had breast cancer, I think we were just talking about it outside a moment ago, and I got upset. I cried initially, I think, because, she's my friend, and while I know that you'd be absolutely, you'll be okay and you'll get through this, it's still something that you don't want people to go through. But
Yeah,
you know,
that's good. Yeah. So what do you'll do if somebody, Diana?
I don't know. I would say probably cry like she did. But just try to be supportive in whatever way I can, because that's the main thing. What Leanne said to me about the chemo, when I told her I needed chemo, because I didn't know that initially, was true, very true, and probably helped me too, I think, because for her to say it wasn't that bad, it wasn't as bad as you think, because we all think when you hear chemo, you think the worst. And as much as I'm vain like the next person, and I hated losing my hair, that wasn't as bad as I thought either. So I just feel like just offering support, I guess, and saying something like what you said. It's not as bad as you might think.
Okay. Yeah, could you use?
And for me, there is a person that has discussed that with me since my diagnosis, and really the only thing that I said to her was, I'm here if you ever need someone, but by the same token I also was very proactive in contacting her. So at the points in time that I thought she just might like to touch base, I touch base on every occasion, and I asked her if there were any questions she had of me, and to take, offered my support, but also suggested that she take whatever support was available to her as well. So yeah, and said, like Leanne has said previously, take as little or as much as you like. It's a very personal process, and you need to do whatever is best for you.
And what we learned from these three wonderful warriors is breast cancer is a reality. If once you're diagnosed, you are in the battlefield. You can't run away. Fight against it. Take all the ammunition, such as support group, medical support, medical advice, and tell to your families, and make it a reality. You're going to face the challenge. Then the fight, and then the recovery will be faster, and you feel confident to fight. So such as you will see within your friends group and family groups, somebody already gone through, such as these three wonderful ladies. So talk to that kind of people, then you derive your strength to fight. That's the only way you can win the battle against breast cancer. And it is recommended that women with a strong family history of breast cancer or ovarian cancer, aged between 40 to 49 or over 75, discuss options with your GP, or contact Breast Screen Australia, or call 132050. And I'm sure that to all audience, if you ever come across breast cancer, you are not alone. Entire community and the nation itself is behind you to support. So never give up. Fight against breast cancer and you recover. Thank you very much for listening and watching the show. Goodbye.